ever since I was, old enough to where people ask me, oh, well, what about your dad? And I tell them he committed suicide, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I would always tell them, don't be. He made the decision. I didn't.
I know you said that your dad died when you were young. What do you remember about him?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, not a
Okay.
thing.
Um,
There's a couple things like here and there, like the one thing that I do remember. Well, there's a couple things like riding on his shoulders and walking in, just one day in general, walking into the kitchen and remember him saying that he was making food and my mom was there, and I remember the whole layout of the apartment and everything, and I tell my mom to this day and she's like, I don't know how you remember that. But yeah,
what have you been told about him? Have you been told the good or bad things about him, what he was like?
not really.
Not really. Are you curious about that?
Not really.
Okay. Tell me why.
I guess it's just growing up and not having him there the whole time. It's not really too much of a curiosity. I never got to really know him in the first place. I never got to really confide in him. I never got anything out of him. So, there's nothing for me to really look for, I feel.
What's one thing you wished he would have told you but never got the chance?
I really don't know.
Okay. No, that's fine.
It's
That's fine.
it's just kind of weird because when I was growing up, I remember all the kids and how they had their dads and how they did that stuff. But every time they would down talk their dad, I was always the one to step in and be like, dude, you have a dad. Why? Why are you talking bad about him? It's pointless. He's your dad. And then I've had people that'll tell me that their dad walked out on them. And I'm like, well, you had a dad. You still have a dad somewhere. It may not be the same, but you do have a dad.
Is there something that you wish your dad, if he was here, would have been able to show you that you think would be just a powerful thing for you in life?
Nothing really in particular.
Okay.
When stuff hits bottom, stuff like that, and I'm really thinking about where my life has been going and stuff like that, then I kind of start thinking about how my life would have been different with him, not necessarily just different things that he could have taught me, just the difference of having him here and not having him here. And that's pretty much all I've really thought about.
How do you think your life would be different if you had a father?
I really just don't know. There's so many things that could have just been different. For when he died, my mom said that they weren't together. Really, they were just kind of apart, and it kind of makes me wonder if I would have still even had a dad, even if he were here. Would he have been here, or would he have not? So it's kind of like a play into everything.
How do you think growing up without a father has influenced your life?
In the greater or in the better, or
Both.
better or worse. I mean, there's been things where it's just kind of like I'm empty, where I don't know where to go or what to do. So I just kind of make things up by myself, which definitely doesn't put you in, I guess, the right crowd of people to hang out with and doing exactly the right things. So I guess, if he were here, I guess he would have taught me a little bit more about right and wrong, stuff like that. Because my mom had so much burden on her shoulders of taking care of me as father and as mother that she didn't have time to teach me some of the stuff that they would have both been able to teach if they were both here.
Do you think, that being said, I know with me, it was exactly what you said, being in those times in life where maybe life sucks or getting rough. And you're like, what in the heck do I do? Where do I go? Direction and guidance. Do you think guidance and direction would have been a big thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so how has that impacted your decisions on a daily or weekly or monthly basis in life?
I just want to progress. I want to progress more than he did, I guess I could say.
But it's hard doing that without direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Is there a time in your life where you really came to understand this impact of growing up without a father?
Kind of, kind of not really. I mean, ever since old enough to where people ask me, oh, well, what about your dad? And I tell them he committed suicide, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I would always tell them, don't be. He made the decision. I didn't. I was young. I had nothing to do with it. So his decision was his decision. And the fact that he could make that decision and just leave me, it's whatever. And I just told him, I mean, it, it's all right. He made the decision, not I. So every year since I was probably like 19, 20 years old, me and my buddy Josh, who has also lost his father, we've celebrated Fatherless Day, and it's kind of like a way to have them here but not have them here by being together. And then a couple years ago, we brought our friend Abby into it, who also lost her father, which she lost her father the year before we brought her in. So bringing her into Fatherless Day really helped her out, because she came in from what she would normally have on Father's Day to still having pretty much the same thing on Father's Day. Being able to talk about him, being able to do whatever you want to do, but just not having him there.
What do you wish your dad would have done differently?
Thought about what he was doing, thought about the other people that were going to be hurting more than how he was hurting when he did what he did. Thinking about how it was going to affect my life and my mom's life, and how much it might possibly hurt us. How much, I mean, it could send us into the same depression that he was in. And I just wish he could have thought about that before he did it.
Do you know much about your dad's dad?
Not really. I mean, I know what my mom's told me.
Is he still alive or is he gone?
Who? Oh, my dad's dad? He's still here.
He's still alive?
Yeah, but he's pretty much worthless. He doesn't have anything to do with me. Anytime I try and confide in him with anything, he just kind of treats me like I'm down on the lower scum level. I mean, he's never really been there for me. Never really did anything for me. And you think he would, because it's his son. It's his son's son. His son's only son. So, I mean, that's another thing too. His dad's never talked about him. Never talked about when he was young. Never said, oh, well, when he was your age, he did this and this and this and this. Nothing. He's never talked about him.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know if it's part of his healing process, to where he just wants to forget what happened. He just wants to let it go and just get it out of his mind. But I really don't know. He's just, he doesn't seem like the loving kind of dad that a dad should be. He always seemed to me, as his grandchild, that he was just kind of put off. That he wasn't real caring, wasn't real emotional, nothing like that. It was just like, hey, do this. Come here. Over here now. You're going to do this. And it was just like, okay. You want to tell me why? What kind of lesson I'm learning? But other than that, I mean, he just really never talked about him.
Did you transfer those characteristics or this thought of how your father is and how that plays out with God?
I didn't. I never got really into much the religious side. I mean, I've had my grandparents that are huge Catholics, like very big Catholics. Catholics are kind of crazy. So I was kind of used to that crazy, like, oh, praise the Lord, the whole bit like that. And then when my mom gets together with Rick and we started going to non-denominational church, I mean, we'd walk into the church and they'd be like, oh, hi. Nothing about God, nothing about anything like that. So that's where I was comfortable. And I mean, they didn't make me learn. They didn't make me talk about him. They didn't make me pray. They didn't make me do anything, which is what I really liked. I liked being able to go and think about there is somebody up there, somebody. And not necessarily have to believe in exactly what everybody else is. As to where my grandparents are going to a Catholic church, and they're like, no, you're going to read this line from the Bible, and you're going to sing it, and you're going to rejoice, and you're going to eat his body and drink his blood, and this. And I'm just like, whoa, way too much. Way too much. So I think it was more of kind of like me not having a dad kind of excluded me really believing in anything bigger than me. I always grew up very independent. My thoughts were my thoughts. I mean, I never really said, oh, well, this is because of this. I never really came to the point where I was like, everything happens for a reason. I've never been like that. It's everything happens because I made it happen. So I became very independent, and after that, I mean, I wasn't really religious, didn't really do the whole praying thing. And I mean, just recently, me and my mom sat out and talked about it. And it was the craziest thing because I get these things that are, I don't know if you've heard of it, but Mike Dooley, it's like inspirational kind of self-motivation speaking. But he does this thing, it's called his tuts, which every day I get an email, which is a new tut for the day. It's kind of like a fortune, but at the same time, he makes it coming from the universe. But you can tell it's him being very religious, and he's bringing that religion down, but he's making it to where it pertains to everybody. So he puts it in there as the universe. The other day, or a couple weeks ago, I was sitting there, and me and my mom had talked about the whole praying thing and this and this and that, and she said it helped her. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. I was driving over to my friend's house, just randomly talking, saying I need a job. I need something. And didn't really do anything for a few days. And then about a week later, I prayed again. Same thing. Well, 2 days after that, I got my tut. And like the day before was Sunday, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, I really need to read my tut. Like I had this feeling that I needed to read it. And I didn't get it on Sundays. You only get it through the week. So as soon as Monday rolled around, I opened my inbox, and there it was. And I opened it, it says, we talked last week. We talked a couple days ago. We don't communicate that much. Like to hear from you again, the universe. And I was just like, whoa, what? Huh? Like, and it was exact. Last week, a couple days ago, and it was just to the point, exact. And I was just floored. But he sent me a lot of things that have been very inspirational. And it keeps me on the right track. Keeps me thinking.
If you would have had a father here to give you guidance and direction, how do you think your life would be different?
I'd probably be a little bit more successful, more willing, and more out there. I mean, just kind of growing up by myself and trying to teach myself what I need to do. It's kind of held me back. And I mean, I haven't been the successful person that I need to be, other than a couple points in my life where I've hit rock bottom, and I look at myself and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, you need to push yourself. You need to do something. You need to go. So I've been my own inspiration, I think. And I mean, I feel that if he were here, I would have been different. I wouldn't be the same person.
How would you be different?
I probably wouldn't be as independent. I wouldn't think for myself as much as I do. I would probably sit there and confide in somebody more than I should. And more than I should, as in terms of me now.
What hurts the most about not having a dad?
When people talk about their dads, and they sit there, oh, my dad did this, my dad does this. And then my friends whose dads have died, they'll talk about their last moments with them, talk about last words with them, talk about how they were. And it was just something I never got to see. I never got to see who my dad was, meet him, talk to him, anything like that. So
What hurts the most about him committing suicide?
Just that it was selfish. That he didn't think about how I might feel. I've been to the point where I've wanted to just be not here, just not be here. I've found it pointless for me to be alive. Stuff like that at some points. And then when it gets down to it, I'm sitting there and I'm like, but how could I actually even do that? Who could actually do that? Why? And I mean, I've had friends. I had a friend not too long ago that committed suicide, hung himself in his bedroom. I've had friends that have been killed by other people. I've had friends. In the past 6 years, I've lost almost 7 friends. I've had a friend that was shot execution style in the middle of the field, put down on his knees, shot in the back of the head by gang members. I had a girlfriend, not a girlfriend, but she was a girl that was a friend. She was 15, went to a party with all of our older friends, and got in a fight, and the girl pulled a gun out, shot her in the chest, killed her. And then my ex-girlfriend died in a head-on car accident with a drunk driver. And my friend killed himself. And I had a girlfriend that I cheered with who tried to kill herself. She wrapped a belt around her doorknob and then around her neck and sat down on the floor. Her parents walked in, and I mean, the blood vessels in her lips had popped. She was just blue. I mean, they got her right in time. Like, she would have been dead within a few seconds if they had not gotten her. And it's just like, you sit there and you're like, why? What has brought you so low that you could actually think about that? And I guess it's because I've never been to that low of a point to where it's like, okay, I'm actually going to do it. But I have thought about it. And it's just, even the thought is just like, no, it's wrong. Like, just going through my head, I'm like, that's just wrong. I couldn't do that to myself. Like, I really couldn't. And I mean, I've told my mom the same thing, where she always has had this fear that I'm going to do the same thing my dad is. But then I'm also the person that's grown up, or that has grown up looking at that, knowing it's wrong from the beginning. So when it comes down to actually thinking about doing something like that, the thought is just almost unbearable. It's like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to my mom. I couldn't do that to myself. And it's just...
What do you see in your friends and other kids? Why is all this stuff happening? Suicides and just all the issues. What do you think of the major?
I really don't know. It's got to have a lot to do just with the way people are thinking these days, and the way that some people think that there's no way out, and just that they've hit so low that they can't get back up. It's weird. It's like they're almost paralyzed in thought. That their thought has paralyzed them to the point where they can't move, they can't think, they can't do anything except for that one thing. My friend that hung himself got kicked out of school the day before, and that's all he had going for him. His parents had left him. Well, he had kind of distanced himself from his parents, didn't really have many people. He had friends, but when he got kicked out of school, he saw that his life wasn't really, he felt that his life wasn't going to go anywhere. He felt like there was no way back after he had already messed up.
Growing up without a father, do you want to be a father?
Mm-hmm. I do. I've actually, my last girlfriend I was with for about a year, and she had a 6-year-old daughter, and that was probably the best thing that I've ever done. I mean, I took care of her little girl for a year straight. She didn't have a father. The father that she did have, I mean, he'd come around and then he'd leave. He'd come around, promise her something, and then he'd leave. Not say anything to her. He'd just text her mom and say, you know what? I can't make it. I got to go back to Washington. The one time I remember, we met him at Chick-fil-A, and it was right around her birthday. And he's like, you want me to take you to the mall? You want me to take you here, get you something? You want to go somewhere tomorrow? And then the next day comes, and he texts my girlfriend and was like, I'm going back to Washington. I'm not going to be able to make it. And I just kind of looked at him like, you're a coward, dude. Like, you really are. You can come and you can see your daughter for a day, and that's enough for you, that wouldn't be enough for me. Like, every day when I saw that little girl, it was just awesome.
How do you think you'll do things differently as a father?
I really don't know. I never had that father. I never had the father to show me what to do. So it's more of kind of a thing where I've learned over the years the different ways that I've had, or that I have been taught by different people, by different father figures, I guess they would say, and what ways I liked that they were a father and the ways that I didn't like, and what made them the role model and what didn't make them a role model. And I think that kind of plays into where I want to be a part of somebody's life and make an impact, because I didn't have somebody making an impact on my life. Like, I have a friend that is real emotional. He's a really emotional person. But when I see his dad never has an expression on his face, never smiles, never does anything. But this kid is a very emotional person, and he lost his job not too long ago and started doing things that not everybody does. He started cutting, and he started getting to a real low place where he was drinking every night. He was drinking every day, all night, and I eventually just told him, I was like, why? I go, why would you want to kill yourself? I go, what's the point? Well, and then he would just say, well, I don't want to kill myself and this and this and that. And I said, well, then you don't need to be doing the stuff that you're doing, because that's what's going to happen. Is you say you don't want to kill yourself, but in reality, you are going to kill yourself, but in a longer span of time. And you know that's what you're doing. Maybe not consciously know, but in the back of your mind, you know that if you just do this and do this and do this long enough, eventually you're just going to die. And I see that as pretty much committing suicide too. Not keeping yourself to the standards that you should be at to keep yourself alive. Just kind of letting yourself go.
What advice would you give to other young people like yourself that maybe have grown up fatherless? What advice, what would you tell them?
That they don't have to go anywhere and everywhere to look for that person to be there and then in their life, that they can be that person. They can relate to other things and build themselves up to where they do have that extra person, but it's all internal and it's all themselves. And that, I mean, that goes along with a lot of how I've dealt with it, where I've never looked for anything else. I've never looked for a father figure. I've never really cared for a father figure, because I want to be myself, and I'm going to be myself. And that's another thing I tell my mom too, when she tells me she's scared that I'm going to do the same things as my dad. And I sit there and I'm like, no, I am myself. I'm not going to do something that other people do. I'm not going to just give up. I'll push myself.
This idea, though, of not wanting to have a father figure, or no desire, no strong motivation, why do you think that is?
Just growing up without it for so long, and never seeing what or how it would benefit me, never really made me curious of how it would.
Yeah. You would use your dad's suicide
as an excuse to the way I was acting, me not doing schoolwork, me not doing stuff like that. And I mean, it got to the point where I used the excuse so much, my mom started using it. So then all through school, everything I did was I made excuses for everything. And I learned that I could make an excuse and I could get out of it. Because, I mean, when I was taking tax tests, and I told them, I was like, you know what, you're going to put that test in front of me, I'm not going to do it. I had told them, I was like, I will mark A all the way down that page. I don't care. And I got to that point where it was just like, I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care. You can try and teach me whatever you want, but I'm going to go with what I'm thinking, and that's it. And it kind of went from middle school all the way through high school, making excuses for the way I was acting, the reasons I wasn't doing my work, and the reasons I was making bad grades. And subconsciously, it was kind of like it all started from me making excuses that my dad was dead or that I didn't have a dad. And I mean, I went all the way through high school making excuses. And then after that, I kind of just hit this rock bottom after I figured out that I just wasn't going to graduate. I just wasn't, because I had made so many excuses throughout my whole school, all my schooling, that I'm just not going to graduate. So I dropped out, and at that point, I was with a girl that I had been with for 5 years, and she told me, she goes, "You're not going to have me if you're not in school and you don't have a job." And at that point, that day, I walked out that front door, and I went and I enrolled in college that day. And I started seeing it as me doing things for other people more than myself. And it's kind of hard to think about, and a lot of people say you want to do things for yourself and not other people, but other people are my motivation. Somebody can sit there and say, "Oh, you can't do this." It's going to motivate me to do it more and to prove them wrong. Or somebody saying, "You need to do this." And I say, "You know what? You're right. I do." And I mean, as soon as I got in college, I mean, I quit doing some of the things I was doing at the time and quit doing what I was with her. I mean, after I enrolled, I went back, told her that I was enrolled in college, and she dumped me. So it was kind of like a kick in the butt. It was like, "Hey, do this and we'll still be together." And then I do it and we're not together. So it was kind of like a confidence thing. Like, I had the confidence to go do this, but now my confidence is shot because she's gone. The person that I was doing it for is gone. So I kind of had to revert it over to doing it for myself. And at that point, I was making all A's college courses. I was doing all my work on time, no excuses, nothing. I ended up graduating with a 3.7 GPA. And that's through 8-9 months of college. 3.7 GPA. When I was in high school, I was making 30s, 40s on my report cards just because I didn't care. I didn't have any reason to do anything. I didn't see the reasons I needed to do stuff. But a lot of it had to do with, I mean, when I was in high school, I started getting into drugs, drinking, doing that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like altering my mind, my state of mind, to the point where, I mean, growing up, my mom had always told me college and school is the most important thing you could ever do. But then as I started getting into drugs and started getting into hanging out with friends more than worrying about school and just going out and getting messed up all the time, it just kind of shot me down to the point where I was like, "Oh, I don't need to do that. I'm having fun. I'm having fun where I'm at. Who needs anything else?" But then I realized that I could have my fun and I could do what I need to do at the same time.
Watch the Father Effect movie for free on YouTube.